hopefully. Today we're talking about Legonium, this website which is about learning Latin. Usually I'm talking about Gregorian chant, but being a Catholic who has lots of kids, often I'm teaching Latin in order to understand Gregorian chant to kids who are more interested in Lego than in learning Latin sometimes. Okay, so this website has been interesting. Yes, I won't say it solved all the problems, but it's made us smile. And yeah, with this webpage, I used to make this book, Latin Grammar. It is an illustrated Latin grammar, illustrated with lots of Lego pictures. So there you go. Correct case use saves lives. Yes. I can show you these pictures more easily once I get into the webpage, because yeah, from this little tiny thing. Yeah, today I am feeling hodie sum. You've seen those things where they usually have facial expressions, but in this case they have a robot. So a robot doesn't have facial expressions, but it still has each robot facial expression labeled clearly underneath in Latin. So it's very handy. Anyway, yes. So back to the webpage. It is a weird webpage. It's made with Squarespace, so it's kind of cool and kind of frustrating at the same time. But the upside is I am always finding new things every time I open it up. Okay, so here we go. The Latin grammar, you see grammatica. We'll look at the first grammar. When you click most of these links, they go to a slideshow sort of thing. And to open up the slideshow, you need to find the little cross or plus sign in the top corner, which is off the screen, man. Okay, so just above my head, you'll see, where is it? It was there. Okay, so when you put your mouse down here, that cross comes up there. There we go. Okay, so you can see that. There we go. And if you click that, then it becomes a full screen slideshow. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I should put my head over the other side. Hang on, I'll put my head over the other side. So we can go through this as a slideshow. You have the characters who are introducing you through the grammar. I think these are Harry Potter costumes, but I haven't found, I don't know much about Harry Potter, and my ignorance of Harry Potter has still allowed me to enjoy a lot of the jokes in the book. So there are some they're boring tables, but I know, they're not too boring because they're colourful and they have a lot of detail. It takes the grammar very slowly. These tables are not boring. So this is the conjugations of verbs. Then instead of just having the actual words like a normal Latin grammar would have, it has some illustrations. So ambulo, I am walking. Ambulas, you are walking. Ambulat, she is walking. Ambulamus, we are walking. Ambulatus, you are walking, plural. Ambulant, they are walking. So you can, hopefully, makes it a bit more easy to understand. So then have second conjugation and so on. Oh, here we go. Oh, the dinosaur. It illustrates all the prepositions using a dinosaur and a caveman. So ad dinosaurum means going to the caveman. Proper dinosaurum means near the caveman. Near the dinosaur. Ad dinosaurum again is at the dinosaur. In dinosaurum, in can mean, this is with an on the end, so it's into, but also it can mean into like that. In dinosaurum, onto or into. Per dinosaurum is through the dinosaur. It gets a bit silly. In dinosauro is the ablative, so it's inside the dinosaur. And et dinosauro is out of the dinosaur through his mouth, which is the better way. Cum dinosauro is with the dinosaur, and in dinosauro is on the dinosaur. So you can see in dinosauro and in dinosauro, they can mean two different things. So just like in English, Latin can sometimes be ambiguous. Cool. Okay. So one of the things was with my daughter when she was looking at these books, yeah, she said, it just makes me want to buy more Lego. So that could be a hazard if you're trying to boycott different companies who promote different weird ideologies, then please be aware. It's not, get your Lego secondhand or get fake Lego, or just look at pictures of Lego, which is much tidier than having Lego all over the place, as everyone will agree. Anyway, okay, so that's a Latin. But you can't print out those slideshow pictures. Where can you print out the slideshow things? It's under resources. Okay, resources. Now the downloads, maybe Squarespace doesn't allow you to have just normal downloads. So all the downloads are made in a shop sort of format. So you need to sort of buy the downloads for free, and then they go in your cart, and then you can download them. Does that make sense? Okay. If you want to donate, there's a donate $10 or $3. Or the Antiquity Calendar. So they have cringy, interesting Latin. Anyway, yes, all these things are kind of interesting. The first Latin grammar is in 2 parts. First part, second part, green and blue. And then the second Latin grammar is the orange one, which comes with a book of Latin verb tables. And they're all 40 pages long. So if they go all in the one, I've put them all together in the one thing. So this is 160 pages, what that looks like. 40 pages is pretty small, so you could staple it, like print it out on a, if you have a color printer, or I like the color. I think it probably still work in black and white. But yes, if you have a color printer, go crazy. Yeah, or you could work out how to do it at, say, a print shop and use their color printer. So the first Latin grammar goes Oxford Latin Grammar chapters 1 to 6. The second one, I think, goes to chapter 12 or something like that. Anyway, that's if you're using Oxford Latin. But even if you're not using Oxford Latin, it gives you the basics of first year Latin. That gives you a start. That's the grammar. The next one I was going to show you is Bella Stellaria, which is, I guess it's not a very important thing to know about, but you can see Bella Stellaria is how you say Star Wars, how you can say Star Wars. One way to say Star Wars. Okay, so you can go through a slideshow of the Star Wars story in Lego minifigures, all told in Latin. Okay, just what you need to challenge yourself, to expand your vocabulary. But it's not just Star Wars and possibly objectionable stuff. There's also The Hobbit. Okay, possibly, does everyone like The Hobbit? I like The Hobbit. Where is The Hobbit? This is in More Stories. Okay, so you can see Hobbitus 1, Hobbitus 2. Whoops. So Hobbitus gives us this layout, which has the story with pictures inside, with a side margin with explanations of bits of words. It's very small here. You can get the downloads in the resources tab, and then you'll have a PDF, which is nice and clear. But the layout is based on another book here, Lingua Latina per se illustrata. See, I have an old copy here, which I just got, which I'm really happy about. Lingua Latina, which is all in Latin. So you can see here, all in Latin with pictures inside, and then the little pictures in the margin, or just explanations in the margin, which leads us on to some more resources on Legonium. Okay, so this is The Hobbit, if you want to read The Hobbit, all in Latin. I don't think it does the whole story. I remember when I did print it out ages ago, the first time I found this, it wasn't very long. I can't remember how much of the story it goes through. Anyway, Lingua Latina per se illustrata is this LLPSI thing here, where you can find downloads supporting it. You can find, I think they did a fairly straight illustrations of it. Okay, you can see the next picture coming up with a map of Italia, Roma est in Italia, and stuff like that. So the straight thing with, it actually uses some non-Lego minifigures, if you can call them minifigures. It is chapter 2. Okay, let's go to chapter 2. Okay, so you see these minifigures are not Lego. They look vaguely familiar, like I should know the name of them. But anyway, so this guy has a serious collection of blocks. They're much bigger. They do bring the minifigures in, and the minifigures like up to their waists of the small ones. So yeah, they're different scale. So that's the serious side of Lingua Latina. It also has the silly side of Lingua Latina, which you can see in Bellum Civile, which is based on lesson 3. So it looks like they have a Simpsons thing. Do you like Simpsons? Okay, so this Bella Chevrolet is using the Marvel universe in Lego. So if you've read Lingua Latina, you remember Julia sings and then her brother comes up and tells her to shut up, except in this way it's in Prefectus Americanus instead of Julia and Bruce Banner instead of Marcus. And it's pretty much written, in the book, Marcus doesn't turn into the Incredible Hulk. But yeah, this is the Marvel's Civil War. So you have a different perspective. So this is pretty much what happens in the book, except with different characters. So if your children aren't so inspired, it might make them smile seeing the chapter 3 retold with different characters. So he's got through to chapter 4. I haven't watched all of these, but they all look pretty interesting. Okay, what was the next bit? Oh, Satura Lanx. Satura Lanx is an interesting podcast. It's an Italian lady who speaks it all in Latin. So, yeah, she's making things up as she goes. She's talking fairly slowly, and but still, it's going a lot over my head. So in these episodes, she's going through Cicero, or Cicero. What do you say, Cicero? I guess if I'm doing ecclesiastical Latin, I should be saying Cicero. So I'll say Cicero, but I'm meaning Cicero. Episode 19. So we have links to the actual podcast. So there you can open the podcast in a new tab, which I've done earlier. And, I've got my head in the wrong way again. There you go. I'll have moved all the way around the screen by the end of the podcast episode. This is Irene. Irene Regini. And yes, so you can tell she's got a very Italian accent. Pretty sure she's in Italy. And, she talks about learning Latin. As far as I have listened to like 2 episodes, and I've maybe understood a fifth of it, maybe. Okay, anyway, but what would help a lot if you have this in front of you? This is Anthony Givens, who is the guy behind Legonium. He is a teacher in Australia, in Sydney even, and at the moment he's off overseas on a trip. But you can follow him. He's still active on Facebook and Twitter. And he's a teacher, so he teaches Latin to high schoolers. I think it's all high schoolers. And he also teaches Greek to Year 8 students. And that's pretty much all I know. But this is where you can see the transcript. So it has a picture of Irene, which is pretty close. Oh, she's wearing different colours, but you get the idea. Anyway, transcript. So you can look at the words while you're listening to them. Whenever you're learning a language, it helps to be able to look at the words, but especially Latin, so much of it is looking at the written word instead of listening to it. Except maybe because we're going to a Latin mass, we might actually be more familiar with listening to it on a weekly or daily basis if we're really lucky. Anyway, yes, so there's transcripts of the Cicero stuff. And with the parentheses and stuff, I'd say it's not just a straight away reading out a book by Cicero, but actually talking about Cicero. Or Cicero. Yes. Okay. So that's Satura Lanx. There's only a few episodes there, but yeah, I thought that was a nice overlap because I'd found Satura Lanx on another thing and then find this guy is listening to Satura Lanx too. And the last one, Latina Disco. So disco can mean I learn or I teach. And here, I guess you would say this is a Latin course, for a very beginnery Latin course with lots of Lego illustrations. So it starts in English, but very soon, let's see, if I put my face down here for a change, you can see the words. So let's get to the Latin. Okay, salve. Now I'm covering up person. Let's see. There we go. Okay. So the Latin word for be well is salve. And let's watch 2 skeletons saying be well to each other. I like the randomness of the examples because usually it's just 2 people. But with this stuff, yeah, he looks in his box. Now, what can I choose this time? And picks up something completely random. So, Sodalis, Salve Sodalis. And this way they get through changing endings in a minute. So more than one person, you say Salvete and Sodales instead of Sodalis. And so now the two skeletons are talking to one goblin, so they're using the singular. But then the goblin is talking to two skeletons, so he uses the plural. Okay, you got it. So if you're trying to get your kid's head around this different endings for different things, you might be able to find a more enticing example on these web pages somewhere. There you go. So we talked about, oh, yes, Disco Games. Disco Games is another site. So resources went to one source of downloads. Disco Games goes to another set of downloads. Disco Games. Okay, so Disco Games has games to go with that Disco series, or you could just use them standalone because they make sense. Each one, like Quid Ei Est, who is it? Est ne bos in templo is the one that I played. Quid fit in pictura, what is in the picture. So you get pages to print out to make cards and a page of instructions. And so it's playing a card game in Latin. So, yeah, you get to practice a couple of sentence structures and swap out different nouns for different things. Yeah, does that make sense? Oh, fish. So that's probably a game of fish. Carceres et dracones. I know dracones is dragons. Carceres. Oh, carceres be prisons and dragons? Dungeons and Dragons! Oh, why didn't I see that coming? Okay. So I'll have to find out what that's about. Yep. We have family who are into Dungeons and Dragons. Yep. Whatever you think of that. Okay. So I think that is all the stuff on my list that I particularly wanted to show you. So there's a different Latin resource, but very alive and very interesting. Very alive, very interesting. And so I hope that helps you with teaching Latin or learning Latin. I guess it's not quite so taking your hand. It's sort of providing all these resources that a teacher finds interesting. But yeah, you can always reach out to him on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And yeah, I hope that inspires you to keep learning Latin and learn a bit more. Okay, God bless. Bye.
OBS boss.
Yes, boss. Okay.
In Templo?
In templo? No, no. Vos non est in templo. Vos est in computa.
Computer?
Computa. Computer. Computer. Or in computro.
Computer. Look.
Yeah. Oh,
Can we play it?
can you play which?
It's neighbors in Templar.
You show the cards? Okay.
Okay. Best neighbors. Oh, wait, that's upside down.
Oh.
Best neighbors in Templar.
Yeah, so it's got templum.
Yeah, Templar.
Yeah, okay.
Can we play it now?
I'll see how it sounds with the video. I can edit this bit out, can't I? Yeah. I always like the videos where they say, I will edit this bit out.